Now we're going to project 2 where we're going to be formatting a worksheet. So what we want to do is we want to double click on the border between row 1 and row 2 headings to automatically resize. So between row 1 and row 2. So just like we can resize columns, we can also resize the row heights. Notice here, Graphic Design Institute. You don't see it completely. So you could do it manually. You can just bring your mouse in between and then click and hold and drag it and try to get it to what you want. Or, as the book suggests, just come in between the two columns or between the two rows. Notice that you have the double-ended arrow. If you double click right now, it resizes. Then in question 2, select row 2, and then on the Home tab, um, we want to select a row height of exactly 18.75. So let me go ahead and copy that number instead of typing it in. So we're interested now in row 2, and just like we did before, we can go ahead and just drag and click it, but it looks like they want an exact number here. So what we can do is we can format that height, either do it through the ribbon or do it directly. So from the cell group, click the format arrow. So there's the cell group. From the format arrow, you can come in here and you can type that number, but if you want to save all that clicking, you can just click on that label here, the number 2, because that's what you're resizing. Right click on it, format, format the row height, select row height, and I'm just going to copy that number in, right click copy, and click OK. And then in the next question, it says double click the border between column D and column E to automatically resize. So D and E, so we want to auto resize that. So we double click and we see that it's more economical now. It shrunk it down. So I'll do that again. Okay, so just come in between, get the double arrow and double click. And then what we want to do here in question 4 is click the page layout tab, and from the theme group we want to select the integral theme for the whole worksheet. So let's go to the page layout. Here's themes, and if we click down, we see we have various themes to select from. And I think the assignment wants this one right here called integral. So we select integral, but you can explore all the other themes they have there. And then we want to go back to cell A1. Okay, on the Home tab, we want to change the font to 20 to 24. So we click on A1. Okay, and here is the font size. So we're going to make the size 24. And then in A2, that's going to be 14. So we click on A2, we change that to 14. Notice as I go up and down, you can see the cell changing in size. So we're going to select 14. And then we're going to select cells A3 to E46. So let's do that first. A3 all the way down to E46. So the cells are highlighted, and we want a font size of 12. So while those cells are selected, we want a font size of 24. And then we're going to adjust the size of each column. So column A is going to be 20, column B is going to be 15, and so on. Now, you could manually drag it, and notice as I'm dragging it, there's a pop-up. So right now it says it's 14.3, and now it's 17.5. You can keep dragging it and try to get it to 20. See, we're almost 20 now. It's 20.13. But what I'm going to do to get it exact, I'm going to just click on the column heading, column A, right click, and I'm going to change the column width, and I'm going to make it exactly 20. We click OK, and now that column is 20. So let's do that for the remaining columns. Column B is 15, column C is 12, 15, 12, and then for the last two columns, 10 and 13. Okay, and then let's continue to the next one. So click the View tab now, and we want to unfreeze panes because I think the changes we're going to do next do not work if you have a frozen pane. So we now have to unfreeze anything that we may have frozen before. So let's go to View, and from View we go to Freeze Pane, and we are going to do an unfreeze. Okay, so now we can move things around, make changes, and we don't have to worry about one cell staying in its place. So what we need to do now is we're going to go to the Insert tab, and in the text group we want to click header and footer. So let's click Insert, and the text group is right there. So what are we going to be inserting? We're going to be inserting a header and footer. Okay. Now, in case you're not familiar with what a header and footer is, a header is the top part of the printed page, not the page on the screen, but the printed page that you don't normally type in. Well, we're actually going to type something in there, and likewise, the footer is the part at the bottom of the page that we don't normally type in. And if you want to access that and type something in there like a page number or a date, that is how you would access the footer. So header at the top, footer at the bottom. And let's see what we have to do. So we have to click the header and footer design tab. Okay, so the design tab, let's click in here. And notice we have a contextual tab, header and footer. If you don't see it, if I click outside, all the contextual tabs disappear, and that happens with any object. Okay, so in this case, let's go ahead and click back in the header and footer, and we can now see a new ribbon of commands. So from that new ribbon of commands, what we want to do in the header and footer group, click the header button arrow, and the header that we want is sheet 1 confidential page 1. So let's find the header button, and what do we want here? I think we want, let's do this bit by bit. Okay, so click the header and footer. In the header, click the arrow and select sheet 1 confidential page 1. Sheet 1 confidential, and I don't see it here. It's there it is. So we just had to be patient, and you can see here that that was now inserted into the header. So let's continue to the next question. Okay, so click anywhere in the header, and on the header and footer design tab in the navigation group, click go to footer. So this time let's click in here, and now we're going to go to navigation and click on go to the footer. Okay, so now we're going to put something in the footer. Let's see exactly what it is we have to put in the footer. In the header and footer group, click the footer button and select file name option. Okay, so let's go ahead and do that. So we're in the footer and we want the file name option, and I don't see it. So let's review this carefully. So when we read this carefully, it says go down to the 6th option in the list. So if you don't find it, just simply count down and it will be the 6th item in the list. So let's return to footer and count down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And we can see that we have the file name inserted right into the footer. So press Control H to open up Find and Replace. So Control H. Okay, and what we're going to do now is we're going to apparently replace something. Now, I'm not very good at remembering hotkeys. Okay, so if you want to find that, you just simply remember Control F to find. Okay, and then click on the replace button. So I find that easier than trying to remember Control H. So in the dialog box, what do we want to do? So we're searching for accelerated, okay, and we want to replace it with accelerated that begins with a capital A. So we're doing a search and replace. Okay, so let's search for accelerated in lowercase. And what do we want to replace it with? We want to replace it with accelerated in uppercase. So I'm going to change the A to a capital. Click the Options button and select Match Case. Now this is important because if you don't match case, it's going to pick accelerated regardless of whether it's uppercase or lowercase. So we want to only match the case. So let's go ahead and experiment with this. Let me just go back to Find Only, okay, and click Find Next. So there it is. Now, if I choose Match Case instead and click OK, it will only find it if it matches the case. So let's go ahead and do this. So we're going to do Search and Replace, Match Case. And I think that's about it. And then we can click Replace All, and then all the instances of accelerated in lowercase will be replaced with accelerated in uppercase. So let's click Replace All, and we can see now every instance of accelerated it has the capital first letter. And then we click OK and close, and then on the status bar, click the normal view to return to normal view. So we come down here to our status bar and we want normal view. There it is. And I think we're done. We're ready to save the file.